Hey guys, Legendary Grimlock here, and today we're going to be talking about another Is It Close battle. He-Man versus Kratos, the God of War versus the champion of Eternia. Let's talk about it. So obviously, you guys know how this works. We go over their feats, we get their lower ends, and we get their higher ends, and we see if it's close. Alright, so without further ado, let's really begin here, but I gotta address this because apparently the God of War community has been doing this, so let me just emphasize this real quick. No, Kratos does not scale to the Greek or, sorry, not the Greek. Oh my God, the Egyptian or the Aztec pantheon. Not at all. He doesn't scale to those pantheons at all. And I know a lot of people like to use, oh well, Tyr was there, so he should be able to scale to them, right? No, he doesn't. We need Kratos to actually go over there to either one of these two pantheons, which again, you could probably get them to Universal, so it's very possible. I've seen the evidence for them. And we need to see Kratos actively fighting and going toe-to-toe with creatures or even the gods of these respective pantheons. All right? We need them. All right? Now, again, I do think an Aztec game would probably work more than an Egyptian game, but that's just my personal opinion. Now, without further ado, let us begin with the feats of Kratos. Now, where would I say Kratos lies here? Now, this does depend on how you really go about seeing how God of War Ragnarok is, but I do think Kratos should scale massively above the Greek and the Norse pantheon by the time in God of War Valhalla, as he was able to use the power of hope and pretty much unlock the Blade of Olympus, which should give him a much higher degree in power than what he had originally. Now, again, this is possible that the Blade of Olympus does take his power, but we don't know if that applies to him anymore, because apparently the Blade of Olympus was in him this whole time. So how would he be nerfed from his godhood when, the god weapon that's meant to take away his powers was in him this whole time? But yeah, he's still able to use his godly powers and abilities. Get what I mean? But yeah, with Kratos being able to scale above these multiple pantheons, and you guys also have to remember a large portion of the God of War Ragnarok and the God of War game, he's holding back significantly. And even with his weapons like the Leviathan axe and his blades of chaos, even the Draupnir spear, and now again the Blade of Olympus, yeah, he would be able to pretty much deal with any god from the Norse pantheon games that he fought previously, especially the likes of Baldur, with the Blade of Olympus being able to take away someone's godhood or even someone's powers and abilities, meaning that he could just run the Blade of Olympus through Baldur and that would have pretty much killed him. So he should be able to kill beings that are immortal or pretty much have a high level regenerative factor or are somewhat immortal in their own different ways here. So yeah, Kratos should be around the hyperversal domains. Now, what are the hacks and abilities that Kratos has here? Kratos has his frost manipulation from the Leviathan axe, where he's able to freeze his opponents, cause ice-like shock waves and stuff like that, and is actually, with the World Serpent's venom imbued with the axe, he can bypass an opponent's healing factor and durability. Alright, this is also a match for Mjolnir, which is Thor's hammer, and with that same hammer, Thor was able to clash with the World Serpent, which splintered the Tree of Life, which is known to contain infinite realms and is pretty much infinite in size, as a branch of it is pretty much within all these infinite universes within God of War. So, yeah, basically cracking an infinite, maybe 5D construct if you really want to get it to there, as it did exist before even the likes of the Primordials. Speaking of the Primordials, he would scale above Ymir and a younger Odin, who at that time was able to gut Ymir and spill his blood all over creation, causing pretty much a multiversal flood, if you will, right? So, in all honesty, yeah, I think I rambled on long enough with Kratos. Low end, high complex multiversal. What is high end being in the baseline hyperversal or just hyperversal? Now, let's talk about He-Man. Now, believe it or not, He-Man has a lot of iterations of himself here. So we're going to stick with more of a comic format for He-Man here. And we do know He-Man has the power of Grayskull. The power of Grayskull has been used to do a plethora of things within the He-Man verse in general. And it's actually been able to not only threaten the goddess, which is the creator of the universe, but was also able to shatter the Star Heart and even help He-Man defeat beings who had the power of the, sorry, not the Star Heart, the Star Seed. Now, the Star Seed was known to be able to create multiple universes, which are all infinite in size here. And those who possess the power of the Star Seed here are actually capable of killing the goddess, which is the creator of the entire verse, and again, creating the Star Seed itself, which somewhat makes sense here, with again He-Man being able to fight beings who possessed this power in the past here. And the He-Man multiverse also contains DC's hyper time, which isn't surprising considering He-Man and DC have crossed over a plethora of times in the past here. So He-Man having the having the power to destroy something as complex as hyper time easily could put him into the hyperversal, if not outerversal levels of power. With Hypertime in DC, it contains all forms of fiction and non-fiction. Now, this does relate to the continuity itself here, but remember, He-Man has been a part of DC's continuity for years, in all honesty. And he was able to defeat I think it was Master Death, right? When he had the full power of Grayskull, he became the Master Eternity and stuff like that here. But when he had this power, he was able to defeat Master Death, who was basically a much more stronger version of Skeletor here. And that Skeletor was threatening to not only undo pretty much everything around them, but was going to remake it in his own image. Basically, he was going to undo all of creation itself and then remake it. And then He-Man, in a long, hard, drawn-out battle. And again, he did need help to a decent degree here because, again, they were very evenly matched here. I would definitely say Skeletor had the upper hand because he had a lot more magic. Plus, he is standing in the source of his own power. So, yeah, that would make him a lot stronger now, wouldn't it? But at the end of the day, we already know He-Man wins this in the end here. He-Man also has a regenerative factor. He also has his power sword as well, which basically allows him to GG and execute just about anyone. Even has the ability to drain an opponent's magical powers and stuff, and even bypasses durability, which is absolutely insane here. So, yeah, He-Man has 3 ways you can go about this here. He has his lower end, which is complex multiversal, obviously, right? Then you have his high ends, which are hyperversal plus, in my opinion. Then you also have the possibility to get him to outerversal. So without further ado, let's really talk about this here. Is this fight close, or is it a stomp in one of the other's favor? Now, believe it or not, I am surprised no one has ever done this matchup before. So if I'm the first one to really do this kind of matchup, I feel pretty honored, right? So when it comes to durability here, I think they are pretty comparable towards each other. They both have healing factors, and they both have some of the most decent levels, or at least more consistent levels, of durability when it comes to their own verse. Now, again, the He-Man, you could say his scaling is a bit limited when it comes to his verse here, unless you use crossovers, which is pretty understandable, I guess. But again, we also have to look at the fact that they both have very comparable feats to each other. And as fought beings, you could either say stump one another out or pretty much just exceed the power of the verse in general. Now, when it comes down to it, and I think a lot of God of War fans may hate me for this, but I do think with the whole hyper time scaling, it does give He-Man a significant edge when it comes to, this kind of fight here. I mean, He-Man himself already being a part of, DC's Hypertime, being a part of fiction and non-fiction, being able to scale to a verse that has outerversal levels consistently. And again, I know a lot of down players for DC like to put DC at, 6D and stuff like that, mainly because they're, trying to have Goku beat Superman, but it is what it is here. And again, I would have to say that those people are wrong because they don't actually read comics. So yeah, take that as you will. But again, pertaining to this match, excuse me, yeah, I think He-Man has a significant edge over Kratos, especially when it comes to their higher ends. Because again, you can get He-Man to out of reversal because of DC's hyper time. He's able to fight against beings who are able to destroy DC's hyper time. And unfortunately, Kratos doesn't have that crossfire scaling when it comes to, you know, that particular, I guess you could say, in that terms of the cosmology. Now again, there is a possible way you could do it. You can scale him to, you know, Mortal Kombat, which is also connected to at least a DC universe, or a DC multiverse, if you will. And then you could easily get that to into DC's hyper time and stuff like that. So maybe you could get Kratos to outer. Again, I'm saying maybe. I'm not. I hope nobody uses this, and I'm definitely not going to use it. But I'm trying to say here that yeah, you could probably reach and get Kratos to outer reversal that way here. But at the end of the day here, do I think this match is close? At their lower ends, yes. But at their higher ends, and with the literal possibility, and it's a very high possibility, you can get He-Man to out of reversal. No, I don't think this match is close at all. So in all honesty, I do think He-Man takes this match more often than not. If not, flat out beats the mess out of Kratos. But hey, that's going to be all today, you guys. Please comment down below. Like and subscribe and share with your friends. This is Legendary Grimlock, and I hope y'all have a blessed day. Peace.